Scout. Now we do a moment of silence, a moment of contemplative silence for our great country, its people, and those serving it around the world. Very good. Thank you. Good job, Girl Scouts. And we have a picture. And then we're going to ask if each of the Girl Scouts will introduce themselves to us. Would you be willing to do that? Can we use one of the microphones right behind? Tell us where you're from. And
I'm Mia Gunn, and I'm from Ossining.
I'm Macy Gunn, and I'm from Ossining.
I'm Megan Ryan, and I'm from Ossining.
I'm Alexandra Itty, and I'm from Ossining. I'm Jana Jew, and I'm from Ossining.
All right. Welcome. Thank you very much. You can all be seated. Good evening. Welcome to all our honorees and guests. And there's no better way to start than being blessed by the presence of these beautiful young ladies. And I've been very blessed, as so many of us have, surrounded by so many wonderful, strong women, growing up with my mom and sister and now wonderful mother-in-law, my wife Jane, the incomparable and fantastic spouse and best friend for so many years. And we've been blessed to have two daughters, Jenna and Dana, and they've grown into beautiful and strong women themselves. In recognition of March being Women's History Month, we hold this celebration every year, and this year we have a very impressive list of 5 women who have accomplished many wonderful things in their lives. While Women's History Month is the appropriate time for us to reflect on the accomplishment of women in our communities as we are here tonight, it is also an appropriate time to remember that women all over this world still face challenges of being treated fairly and with equality, whether it be on the job, in the classroom, or in their homes. In fact, there are countries in the world that are actively pushing women backward, denying them basic rights and protections. This is an appropriate time to rededicate ourselves to the mission of ensuring that women's rights are protected here and everywhere. So as we take a moment to recognize these 5 extraordinary women tonight and thank the extraordinary Girl Scouts in our presence, we should all be thinking of the women in our lives and remembering that for all that has been accomplished on behalf of women's equality, we all still have much more to do. At this time, I would ask for remarks that Marcia Brewster, President of UNA USA Westchester Chapter, and Dr. Brenda L.G. Smith, Vice President of UNA USA Westchester Chapter, please come up and join us.
Thank you, Chairman Kaplowitz. Is that all right? Honorable legislators, esteemed recipients of Dedicated Service Awards, fellow members of the United Nations Association, and friends. I am honored to represent the United Nations Association USA Westchester Chapter, and for this important joint event with the Westchester Board of Legislators. Our UN Association, which is now a program of the UN Foundation, is a grassroots members organization that mobilizes Americans to support the principles and the work of the United Nations. UNA USA has a national network of over 125 chapters, and with 17,000 members is the largest network of advocates and supporters of the United Nations system in the world. We promote constructive United States leadership in the UN system and in achieving the goals of the UN Charter. And I might mention here that the UN Charter was the first international treaty to recognize the equal rights of women and men, signed in 1945 by 94 men and 4 women, I believe. Our chapter is involved in public programs like this one that recognize local citizens who are engaged in public service that supports the principles of the United Nations. We also organize educational programs about the UN for third graders in Yonkers, and we support the high school students and college students in their Model UN programs around the country. On April 3rd, we will sponsor an international careers event at Mercy College during their Career Day. It is interesting to note that the theme for National Women's History Month this year is celebrating women of character, courage, and commitment. And the theme for International Women's Day this year was equality for women is progress for all. Now, as you can see from the bios on the back of this sheet of paper, all of these women embody both of those. The 5 women we are about to honor are certainly women of character, courage, and commitment, and the work they do in support of women throughout the world contributes to women's equal rights and progress for all people. We appreciate greatly the importance of recognizing these 5 outstanding women for their dedication to public service, and are proud that 2 of them, Assistant Secretary General Judy Chang Hopkins and Nana Fosu Randall, are leaders and long supporters of women's rights through their work in peace building at the United Nations. We are also thrilled to recognize our favorite congressional representative, Nita Lowey, who has consistently advocated for support to the UN and women's issues in the House of Representatives. Now, Nita cannot be here today, so her certificate will be accepted by one of her assistants, Ms. Yankoff. We also paid tribute to 2 other exceptional women, Nikki Armacost, a women's world banker and leader in microfinance, and Linda Fasulo, a correspondent at the UN for National Public Radio and other outlets, and also an author of Insider's Guide to the UN. All of Westchester can celebrate these women of character, courage, and commitment. Just one other thing, we will join with the town of Greenburgh on Wednesday night to have another celebration of Women's History Month. That will be at the Greenburgh Town Hall at 6 o'clock, I believe. We invite you all to join us, and to our annual meeting, which will be in White Plains with the theme, Corporate Social Responsibility and Partnerships with the UN. That will be May 4th in White Plains at 4 p.m. It will feature keynote addresses by Amir Dosal, Chair of the Global Partnerships Forum, and Dan Baina, Head of Sustainable Development Operations at PepsiCo Corporation. We are also going to honor the Westchester teams that are competing in the National Model UN competition right now in New York City. I would like to acknowledge the hard work that was needed to organize this event tonight, in particular by Dr. Brenda L.G. Smith, our Vice President and Co-Chair of the Program Committee, and Ms. Diana Walker, Legislative Aide to the Chair of the Board of Legislators, Michael Kaplowitz. We would also like to thank Mary Jane Shimsky, Legislator, and Alfreda Williams, Legislator, for inviting us to join together for this event. And, of course, the Chair and the full Board of Legislators for the important work they do. I think we will get along right now to present our awards. Brenda, are you going to speak, or I guess we'll...
Well, at this point, Legislator Gelfarb is making his way down. He's not as spry as he used to be, but he's still moving at a nice clip. And he is to speak and introduce the honoree, the first one, who is Nita Lowey, the aforementioned. So at this point, Legislator David Gelfarb.
Good evening. I'm honored to present this proclamation on behalf of our Board of Legislators to Congresswoman Nita Lowey, in recognition of her long-standing support for women in our community, throughout her district and around the world. I am pleased to count Congresswoman Lowy as one of my constituents. We also have a personal connection as my cousins went to Camp Tripp Lake with her daughter back in the 1970s in the great state of Maine. So I have heard about Congresswoman Lowy for decades. Congresswoman Lowy has had many, many accomplishments during her 13 terms in Congress. She served in the Democratic leadership in 2001 and 2002 as the first woman and the first New Yorker to chair the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. She is also the first woman to lead either party on the powerful House Appropriations Committee, and in that role has done tremendous work at securing funding for the many, many needs of the state of New York and the Hudson Valley region. She's also the former chair of the Congressional Women's Caucus, which has helped her to ensure that women are taken seriously in Congress and in representing the interests of both women and men. She has taken leadership roles on vital public policy issues, including educational opportunity, healthcare quality and biomedical research, stricter public safety laws, environmental protection, women's issues, and national security. She has been a great friend to our military and has stood up for and represented the interests of the United States throughout the world. She has received honors from numerous organizations, including the National Breast Cancer Coalition. As a longtime champion of human rights and in enhancing the role of women in development, Congresswoman Lowy has taken a key role in fighting for democracy, justice, and economic opportunity throughout the world. On behalf of our legislature, I would like to have it resolved that today, Tuesday, March 25th, 2014, be proclaimed Congresswoman Nita Lowy Day in Westchester County. And I would like to present this proclamation on behalf of our legislature to her assistant, Christine. And I am sorry that she didn't make it tonight, but I do want to point out that it was terrific. She, about a year ago, was at the house of one of her constituents in Rye and really gave a tremendous presentation to us and was really, really very, very well versed in the whole entire healthcare issue and gave us a great presentation on the healthcare law. So she is out and about in the district, and I do appreciate her efforts at keeping her constituents informed.
Thank you.
Do you want to say a few words, or on behalf of Congresswoman?
She covered it all, what she does. Thanks.
That's great. Congratulations. David? This is the obligatory picture. Thanks, David. Legislator Alfreda Williams, please.
Can I defer to Dr. Smith for a moment? I think she has a few words.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, to the distinguished honorees, and to these very fine young people, one who told me this evening that she was going to be President of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, my president did in fact say it all, but I would like to conjoin with her and the members of the Westchester County chapter of the United Nations Association, USA, in a message or a note, if you will, of thanks, Mr. Chairman, for partnering with us. And in particular, we want to thank Legislator Williams and Shimsky, who worked on the committee and made this happen. We thank you, Mr. Chairman. Special congratulations also are extended to the honorees. Westchester County has every reason to be proud. We boast with pride of the significant accomplishments of these distinguished ladies. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Well said. Thank you. Legislator.
It's an honor and a privilege to me to be able to introduce to you Judy Cheng Hopkins, United Nations Assistant Secretary General. After a successful career spanning over 30 years of humanitarian work in the United Nations, Judy Cheng Hopkins of Malaysia was appointed Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations for Peace-Building Support in 2009. She was previously Assistant High Commissioner of Refugees in charge of operations, active in over 118 countries between 2006 and 2009. Director of the World Food Programme's Bureau for Asia and Eastern Europe from 1997 to 2000, and United Nations Development Program in Africa from 1982 to 92, Deputy Assistant Administrator for Africa 2002-2003, and Deputy Executive Secretary of the United Nations Capital Development Fund 1993 to 1997. She has also presided as chair of the Conflict Prevention Council of the World Economic Forum and participated in the summit of Davos in January 2013. In April 2013, Ms. Cheng Hopkins joined a handful of previous women honorees, including Madeleine Albright, as the recipient of the Global Leadership Award from Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs. It's truly a pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Judy Cheng Hopkins. On behalf of the Board of Legislators and the United Nations. This is for you.
Thank you so much.
And of course, this also says at the very bottom that today, March 24th, she's sharing this day with our other honorees. So. United Nations Association of Westchester. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Want to say a few words?
Put on?
Yes. Yeah. Go down.
Please.
You want to say something?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Legislator Williams, and I really would like to thank the Board of Legislators and UNA Westchester for this wonderful honor. This is terrific. By honoring me, as I'm the head of peace building in the UN, you're actually honoring all women peace builders around the world. And unfortunately, the role of women peace builders is all too often neglected or overlooked. But my colleagues and I, all those who believe in this cause, are fighting hard to make sure that women's role is accepted. It's not rocket science, it's such common sense. Women are natural, women are everyday peace builders. Women have a vested interest to keep the family together, to keep children in schools, to have normal lives for their children, and looking out for the future of their children. They are natural peace builders. And to overlook their role, and we've seen the success of these women playing this role in places like Liberia and in Uganda and so many other places. But as I said, unfortunately, this has not been as recognized as it should be. But believe you me, we're fighting hard every day to make sure that this is on the agenda and that women are never overlooked, and that we bring them to fora in the UN to speak on behalf of women who are actually suffering the scourge of war in so many countries around the world, and how they can play a role to change this and to be agents of change. So thank you so much for this honor.
Congratulations. Thank you. May we take a picture?
Sure.
Yeah, great. Just one, hold on. Front. Battery. Legislator Parker.
Linda Fazzulo is known to many of us as a journalist of the highest integrity and really displaying leadership in her field. She, as a journalist and author who has specialized in the United Nations and U.S. foreign policy, has given voice to the changes in this world, whether the UN is dealing with issues like weapons of mass destruction around the world, or climate change, or any of the other hotbed issues. Linda has maintained the highest order to tell a clear story. And for that, she has created a network of people who have provided her with the bigger picture. As Tom Brokaw of NBC News says, no one knows the big picture and inner workings of the UN better than Linda Fazzulo. Her the edition of her book, An Insider's Guide to the UN, the third edition will be coming out this fall. And she has been active in many professional organizations, including the UN Correspondents Association and the Overseas Press Club. It is my honor to present our resolution tonight. Sorry. Oh, very good. To Linda Fazzulo. That the UNA and members of the Westchester County Board of Legislators join with Chairman Michael Kaplowitz in paying tribute to Linda Fazzulo for her service to the United Nations.
Good evening. It's a great honor to be here and to receive this award, and to receive it in such distinguished company. What I'd like to say is I'm a journalist. I cover the UN. I've done so for, I'd like to say, since Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, I've been at the UN. And so it's been quite a long haul, and I've had the opportunity to see the UN change and to see how women's issues, for example, have become much higher on the agenda. Exemplary of that is there are two factors. One is, as we know, there are two women who have enjoyed terrific careers, high-level careers at the United Nations. I have to say, when I first arrived there were very few women, particularly in those positions. And so you see a real change, and you also see a bit of a sensitivity and a greater interest in the situation and around the world in terms of women. And the other thing I would like to say as a journalist, there's primarily, I'm an American journalist, and so of course I report on things that are of great interest to the United States. And most of that, or a good part of that, revolves around international peace and war. Those are the big issues, what's happening in the Security Council, Ukraine, Syria, that kind of thing. However, what I would like to say is that I, too, have seen a great change in the role of the UN, its focus on women's issues, on human rights, on humanitarian affairs. And so there's been a greater opportunity to be aware of women's plight around the world and have the opportunity to cover it. And so on that note, I would again like to thank you for this award.
Legislator Perez.
Thank you. going to be a great honor to introduce the next person. Nana Fosu Randall of Yonkers obtained her bachelor's in science in accounting and later pursued her master's in business administration in finance. She has dedicated nearly 30 years to the United Nations Association, the last 18 years of which she held the title of Chief Financial Officer. Through her experiences while working at the UN, she saw a lot of suffering in different countries, thus inspiring her to understand that there is always an alternative to war, three of which are the promotion of peace, the sharing of resources, and the creation of understanding among all people. Not only did her experiences introduce her to these ideals, but she founded Voices of African Mothers, an organization whose mission is to establish a peaceful African continent by using methods of conflict resolution and diplomacy. Today, we thank you, Nana, and for being an exemplary role model to all of us, and for your efforts in highlighting the importance of education. And as a token of our appreciation, I'd like to present it with a proclamation that officially declares today, March 28th. No, I'm sorry, Michael, this is from you.
Different days, yes.
Yeah, officially declares today, Nana Fosu Randall Day. Thank you, congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words, or would you like to get pictures now?
Hello, everybody. When Afrida called me with the news, I asked Afrida, I said, Afrida, you are behind this. Because Afrida has been in my house in Ghana, came to Ghana to visit me and met some of the kids, the 700 kids we are working with in Ghana. I was so surprised because my work is mostly based in Africa. So to receive this award is amazing to me. I'm very, very happy. And I take this award in the name of the women, the little girl I met in Liberia without hands, without feet, feeding a baby. I named her Amma because in Ghana, we are named after the day you are born. So when I saw this girl on the street in Liberia, Monrovia, I was then the UN Chief Administrative Officer. I didn't know what to say because you, the women in the audience, imagine you don't have hands and feet. How can you take care of yourself? But for me to see this girl taking care of a baby, feeding the baby, that changed my life. I have been with the UN for 30 years. I worked there, almost 30 years, 2 months short. I have been in Kuwait, as you said, during the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. I was the chief finance officer. And you go to a meeting, my name is Nana. And over there, they have Nana too. But Nana, especially in Nepal, Nana is named after a man. So when we went to the meeting, they said they are waiting for Nana to come. And I said, I'm Nana. I'm right here. You know, so women, we have really, really suffered. And now, as I say to you, each one of you in this room, we have power. You have power. I have power to change things, to make things better. And together, working together, we can find solutions to the problems with regards to women and children. Because all over the world, if there is a war, who suffer most is the women and the children. I've seen them running with their personal effect on their head, and they can't run anymore. They get to a point, and they say, Nana, please take my child. I can't go anymore. You have the power to change things, no matter how little it is. Thank you.
Legislator Shimsky, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the developing world, economic progress, women's equality, and women's empowerment is made possible only by unleashing the energy of small entrepreneurs. The process that allows them to do so, microfinance, is the life's work of our next honoree. Nicola Armacost is the managing director of ARC Finance, which was formed in the spring of 2008 to link the fields of finance, energy, water, and sanitation. Ms. Armacost brings over 20 years' experience in microfinance. She worked at Women's World Banking for 15 years. She is also an advisor to a number of organizations working by helping make lives better for the poor and developing countries through microfinance projects. Distributed Capital, Frontier Markets, SIMPA Networks, STEMA Systems, and Gaza Design, and others. She is the co-chair of the Investment and Finance Working Group for the UN Year of Sustainable Energy. She also serves on MISFA, the Donor Consortium for Microfinance in Afghanistan. She lives with her husband and 2 children in Hastings-on-Hudson, where, just to prove she only needs 45 minutes of sleep a night, she serves as a village trustee. The work that Nikki does is among the most important works on the planet, because the way people are going to be able to provide for their children and have peaceful and stable environments is through being able to economically develop families, neighborhoods, regions, and countries. And the work of microfinance, in which Nikki is one of the world's leaders, is really the way toward that. So for those reasons, we honor her here tonight. Nikki?
I'd like to thank the Board of Legislators and the United Nations Association for this fabulous honor, and also to say how humbled I am to be amongst this group of extraordinary women. I feel very blessed to have been chosen amongst such an incredible group. And to say that everything in my life is micro. I've been involved in microfinance for many years. I have been involved now with microenergy, micro-water solutions, and I'm actually also involved in micropolitics at the village level in Hastings. But really, even from the very local levels to the global levels, the work that we each do makes a huge difference in people's lives. And I just want to tell you a very small story about a visit I had in West Bengal in the northern part of India last year, where we were meeting with a bunch of women who were embroiderers who had just received solar lights for the first time in their homes. And we were asking them about the difference that it made in their lives. And going from the economic difference, where they were able to work more hours and gain more income, to the cost savings, because they didn't have to spend money on kerosene and on candles and other unclean fuels, but to the emotional, the kind of personal difference that it makes. One woman said to me, "I'm not anxious anymore." And I said, "What do you mean you're not anxious?" She said, "I can leave the light on the table and my children can study, and I don't have to worry that they're going to knock the lamp over and that the house is going to go up in flames or that they're going to burn themselves." And actually we met, and there's a political story as well. We met a woman who said that the main benefit was that her husband was a politician and he could have people in their house to meet for caucusing, which I thought was hilarious in this tiny village in West Bengal. So the work that everyone does in these fields are really important, but I think the most exciting thing that I heard today was that we have a young woman who wants to be president. And, you know, you're spectacular, and I'll vote for you when you end up becoming president. So thanks to everyone for this superb honor.
To President Brewster and Dr. Smith and all our wonderful honorees, thank you so much. You will note each of the honorees, you got that little card in the lower left. That is your day that Westchester County has proclaimed for you. And in a shameless plug of Westchester County-ism, please go over to the county center. There's a big electronic jumbotron, and your day will be flashing throughout the day for all people of Westchester County to know. And then shop and buy products of the advertisers that are on the board as well. So.
There's a reception over.
There is a reception, but what I'd like to do, if we could, is all legislators invited for sure, but gender-based, if all our female legislators would come in front and take a picture with our honorees. I think that would be a nice touch, if we can get one big picture. Legislators, if Bernice, can we help Bernice? What? And would our vice chair join for a little bit of gender help, if you would? Jim? Of course, everybody. Girl Scouts, you want to come on in? Who's running for president? Madam President, what year are you running?
Now they're all going to run for president.
No, a little bit later. What year? 2040. This young lady's running for president in 2040. Is that the year? So keep your calendars open, everybody, please. Yes, yes. What do you guys want in front? And we have a reception as noted for all our guests. And once again, to the honorees, congratulations, and to our guests, thank you for coming.